what we need are our pattern pieces B, which are the side parts, the bag sides, and we need to stitch them together. So we get a B1 and a B2, and we put them together face down, wrong sides together, and then we stitch along the curve, not on the side that has the shape cut out. We have to stitch all the way along the curve, and I've got a feeling it will be 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, because that's what they usually do. Yes, it is 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, unless the pattern says otherwise. So I'm going to stitch all the way down to there on both pieces. Okay, so once you've stitched around, we need to cut notches out all the way around the curve that goes out. So we'll start here, work our way around to around there, and I shall come back when I've cut the notches. Okay, so I've cut the notches around the outer curve, and then where it goes slightly round, I've just cut lines, because when you turn it, these notches will allow the fabric sort of to close in on each other, and where this curve is that way, the fabric opens out, so you don't need to cut the V-shaped notches. So you turn it the right side out so that the wrong sides are together, and press around in the curve, and just sort of roll the fabric to make sure that the seams are nice and flat. And what I like to do is I get my mine's gone blank, tailor's something or other, I can't think what it's called. I've been using them for like donkey's years, decades, and I cannot think of the name of it. Doesn't that drive you potty? Anyway, the aim of the game here is to really, I want to iron the seam flat so that you're really opening it up. And then this will just ensure I get a very crisp finish on the seam. I'll do it with both pieces. Okay, so I've done that, and then I get my ironing pad. I made this. I had some old chipboard, which I got my husband to cut to size, and then I used 2 layers of Insular Bright, and then I bought an ironing pad and I stapled it around the back, and voila, I've got myself an ironing pad, which is a lot cheaper than the ones that are for sale. And the Insular Bright stops the steam going through to the wood and rotting it. Okay, so, because I expect to see people would have said, where did you get your ironing pad from? And now you know. So, I want to make sure it's very flat and that the seams are definitely in the right place. And you really want to press it well. Really good. I'll just show you the difference. So that's with it being pressed and that's without. I don't know if we're steaming up the camera at all, but yeah, you can probably see the difference between pressed and unpressed. And this is my handy little travel iron. I don't travel anywhere, but I bought it to iron inside my bags because it's got a little head on it, but it's absolutely amazing. Love it. For steam, it's just fantastic, and it cost me £12. Can't grumble, can you? It's got 1 heat setting though, that's it, on, off. And then you press the button for steam. So it's all cook, it says, in case you want to look into getting one. I got mine on Amazon, and it's proved to be invaluable. Okay, now what we need to do is top stitch along the sewn edge. Okay, so top stitching's done on both. I tapered on and off at the end so that they came to the edge. And we need to open them up. And I left the markings earlier for the central edge, but if you haven't, just mark it again. And then I'm just going to open up that notched little seam there, and we just place the seam against the line that I've marked. And also, you want to just clip it in place at the sides. And do both ends. And then as you go round, just clip it in place. It may feel a bit awkward, but it will fit, trust me. You just have to persuade it and ease it in. You can use pins if you would like to use pins. But obviously if you've used vinyl then you won't want to. And to be honest with you, I don't use them just as a matter of course because I'm so used to using clips. But if I find it's a bit slippery, I may change to pins. And you may find that it's just a little bit big, and that it's fine. You just literally have to sort of stretch and squash. Just allows room for movement. So these are sitting in there. I'm going to stitch around at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then do it exactly the same for the other side and come back. Okay, so I stitched this one as well, and I did find that having the pins was a lot easier than clipping it because the pins kept it in place while I sewed, whereas when I moved the clips before, the two pieces of fabric would move and I had to keep stopping and shifting them back. So I would definitely pin this part before you stitch it. And then once you've stitched, we need to clip the curves as we did before. Just removing the pins, and we go around, clip the curved parts, and then turn it right side out. You need to press all the way around the seam that you've just stitched and give it a nice crisp edge. It's really important with this particular design that these edges, like this seam that you've already done, is really crisp. It just really adds something to the bag. Oh, that steam's so hot. Can be a bit awkward to press. I'm glad I've got my little iron because my big iron would never do it. If you've got vinyl, I use one of these and you press the seam like that. It can really work well with leather and vinyl because obviously you can't press it. The same with cork. So it's worth doing. So I shall keep pressing. When I've pressed, I'm going to top stitch all the way around, making sure that at each top we taper the top stitching off. Oh, I think I need to go and get my oven gloves. So I shall return when I've top stitched to show you. Okay, so I've top stitched all the way around these edges. And the way to do it, because I couldn't show you on the machine because I'm afraid the bag blocked the camera out. The way to do it is to push this in and start at the top and then go round as so, and it will stitch quite nicely when you do that. If you try to do it this way, it would just be a nightmare. So as I said, push the ends in and then top stitch round, and because you'll have pressed a really nice crease, it will be nice and easy to do. So that's that part done, and we'll be back with the next section soon.